Hello? Hey guys, what's up? I sent Claire the link. We're starting You Gentiles today by Maurice Samuel. Um, okay, let's do what we do at the beginning of each one of my shows, the same old rigmarole. So at the bottom of the screen and the description box, there is my blog, vincentbrunoshadowban.blogspot.com. I'm on partial shadowban. Sometimes you can find my videos, sometimes you can't. You can't find my first 3 videos for some reason. But if you go to vincentbrunoshadowban.blogspot.com, you will be able to find all of my videos there. So if you give me a second, I just got to go find the link to this video so that I can share the link on my Facebook to Claire and insert it on my blog. Hold on. Okay. I gotta share it. I had a bigger channel, but you know what? My channel was taken down and I lost all my subscribers and everything like that. So where's Claire? Oh, it's taking so long with all this. Um, we're going to talk about Dalmatian Dog because it's fitting to talk about him today. The name of this thing is Dalmatian Dog is Dumb. And I'm going to explain that. So just give me 1 second. Let me just fix up the let's do something. Let's just let me just put it on the website and then I'll be done and I can start talking. I'm gonna make a cup of coffee, wait for Claire to get here. One second, I'm almost done with and then we'll start talking. It's always the same at the beginning of my streams. It takes about a minute for me to get started. Yeah, it takes about a minute for me to get started. Okay. Okay, Claire's not here yet. I was just on Tradcat Night last night. You can't get Tradcat Night's videos online. You have to go through his paywall. You have to pay for them because he was getting in so much trouble and he couldn't keep anything up and he kept losing his account and everything like that. So he had to go behind a paywall so this way nobody can catch him and take him down. Nobody can catch him and take him down and stuff. Um, here's Claire.
Hi, Vincent. How are
Hello?
you? Yes,
I'm good.
hello.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So we're reading a new book today, are we?
Yes, we're reading You Gentiles. You Gentiles. And this first reader reading is dedicated to Dalmatian Dog because he's dumb and because interestingly enough, so I got You Gentiles. It's in the public domain And I don't know why. I mean, I don't even, they wouldn't have had to do this in this day and age. I mean, with all the, it would have been easy not to do this. But the book that I bought is a photocopy of a book that came from a public library. Let's see if we can, what public library did it come from? Colorado Springs Public Library is where it came from. Um, oh wow, this has been there for a long time. This thing's here. This has been in here since the 50s. It looks like this book was in that library since the 50s. Um, anyway, so the point is that other people had taken out this book, and every once in a while they had underlined something in the book. So I was just flipping through the book to look, and there was a little thing that was underlined, and it reminded me of Dalmatian dogs. Let me just find the little underline. Here it is. It is absurd to assert that the sole difference between you and us, you meaning Christians, and us, is that you believe in the Messiah has already come while we believe that he is yet to come, or that you believe, even in theory, in the doctrine of forgiveness while we believe in the doctrine of retaliation. Retaliation. And we were talking about that, how Jews believe in retaliation and revenge and you know how it serves them. And if you're a people who believe in forgiveness and you're dealing with the people who believe in retaliation and revenge, then you're going to lose. You know what I mean? And I think that I think it is a very Gentile thing to say, oh, let's just forgive, especially like a Jewish thing. And I don't think Gentiles like, keep grudges as deeply as Jews do, and don't actually go after and destroy anybody who's done them wrong the way Jews do. And I think that
So which Jews are you saying are vengeful?
no, well, I think, well, look, they got vengeance in their Bible books, in the Bible against different kinds of people, and they never let anything go. If you say even one thing about a Jew, they're all over you, like they're all over you at the highest degree. I mean, you say one thing out of line, and they open up the cannon on you. They just they go full force. They don't they just don't let anything go, and they're going to
Really?
try.
Have you been in trouble with Jews? You seem to have quite a lot of interaction with them.
Of course I've been in trouble with Jews. Of course I've been in trouble with Jews, but they don't let any little thing go. And as soon as they find out that you've even said one thing off, I mean, they really try to destroy you as an anti-Semite, and they're very vicious. They don't,
I
the
find
the
liberal Jews are much worse. I mean, I actually get on fine with a lot of Orthodox Jews.
well, yes, but I mean, you're questionably anti-Semitic. Are you anti-Semitic? I mean, l- liberal Jews think you're anti-Semitic, and so you can
But
see how.
that's because they prefer to think so, so they can dismiss what I say by saying, well, because she posed for those, flag and gun photos, we can ignore everything she says, because you know, it, the fact that I'm not would ruin their narrative, and they can't demonize and label me and tell everybody else to ignore me. And so I think it's probably unhelpful to make generalizations of our enemy, and not that I consider them to be enemies, but that clearly a lot of, well, okay, Jewry is divided. It's not going to help you if you think, oh, they're all conservatives and want to live like Jews, or they're all liberal Jews, and there's obviously, well, different kinds of Jews, and they don't agree. And the situation in Israel is, the perfect, well, it's conclusive evidence that they don't agree about how to live as Jews.
Well, Obviously, this Jew feels like generalizing Jews and saying that Jews are into retaliation and Gentiles aren't. Um,
Some Gentiles are very vengeful. I mean, if you're going to be, if you want to make generalizations, you can say, oh, women really bear a grudge. Or, well, or is that even true? Is it the same? Do men bear grudges? It depends on what kind of man. I don't know. I mean, you can't ever measure it properly in an
well, I
objective
think the
way.
Jewish culture is more about retaliation than other cultures are, and I do believe him when he's talking about a Jewish essence, and I think that well, I was talking to Dalmatian Dog about that before I even read this in You Gentiles, that yeah, the Jews get revenge. You know,
What
they're
were you saying? Can you remind us what you were
I was
discussing with
just telling I
Dalmatian
was
Dog?
telling I was telling Dalmatian Dog that I wanted to act like a Jew and get revenge. And he was like a typical Gentile was trying to say revenge is bad. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, revenge is bad for the person seeking vengeance because it might ruin their life. The vengeance that they seek to wreak might be criminal or, um, cause them unhappiness as they plot their revenge and get them into trouble. And
To be
maybe not all Jews kind of, want to exploit Gentiles, even though they know that, technically Gentiles are responsible for the Holocaust and, have problems with Jews. I think the
mhm.
really vengeful people are liberals because they fight like women. They don't play by the rules. They, uh, they hate you the moment you disagree with them and try to demonize you and disengage. And they use all the dirty tricks in the world to try to win the argument. And then nobody believes them anyway because they tell so many lies and their positions are so ridiculous.
Right. Okay, let's start reading. Okay, the first chapter is called The Question. These last 10 years, I more and more I have been asking myself with increasing urgency a number of questions. Is there any special significance in the distinction I have so long cherished, the distinction of the Jew Gentile, not to be found in the class distinction of distinctions implied in American foreigner or Englishman foreigner? Is there between us Jews and you Gentiles, that is, between the Jew on the one hand and the Englishman, the Frenchman, the American on the other hand? That which transcends all the differences which exist among yourselves, so that in relation to us you are Gentiles first and afterwards, and without particular relevance in this connection, Englishmen, Frenchmen, Americans? Or is there nothing more implied in that distinction, Jew Gentile, than in a general way in the distinction between Jew American, American Englishman, Englishman, Frenchman? In other words, are we Jews but part of the Gentiles, Americans, Englishmen, Jews, Frenchmen, or is there a deeper cleavage between us? Is is this Western world divided primarily into two parts, you Gentiles, we Jews? From the outset I shall be asked, even if you suspect the existence of such a primal cleavage beyond the reach of ordinary national or racial classification, what purpose can you have in urging it upon the attention of the world? Has it any practical application? Does it in any fashion clarify the status of the Jew or give greater cogency to such claims of his or her still unsatisfied? This question will be asked of me by many Jews, but in particular, it will be asked with the utmost insistence. Oh, wait, did I even press go live? Yeah, I did. From the outset, I shall be asked, even if you suspect the existence of such a primal cleavage beyond the reach of ordinary national or racial classification, what purpose can you have in urging it upon the attention of the world? Has it any practical application? Does it in any fashion, excuse me, clarify the status of the Jew or give greater cogency to such claims of his as are still unsatisfied. The question will be asked of me by many Jews, but in particular, it will be asked with utmost intent by those Jews who have based our case for national rights, national equality, precisely on this assumption that we Jews are a people like all other people, similar in needs and impulses, that we are Jews, you are Englishmen, you are Italians, and you are Americans, that we, the world's races or people, are all of us similar in our differences? Oh, I'm just taking some coffee. Leaving on one side those who deny the existence of any distinction at all, those, that is, who say that the Jew is either a Frenchman or an American or an Englishman according to the place of his birth, I would answer, for me, the ordinary nationalist or radical classification has not sufficed. If I have long pondered this question of Jew and Gentile, it is because I suspected from the first dawning of Jewish self consciousness that Jew and Gentile are two worlds, that between you Gentiles and us Jews there lies an unbridgeable gulf. Side by side with this brief belief grew another, which is related to the practical aspect of the distinction. I do not believe that, situated as we are in your midst, scattered among you from one end of the Western world to the other, we have the right to retain our identity if we are but another addition to the Gentile peoples. Nor, by the way, do I believe that we could have retained it so long had this been the case. If we are but one more people added to the long roster of people, living and dead, we have no claim worthwhile under these circumstances to continuity of separate consciousness. Such a claim could never have arisen had we remained secure, segregated on our own soil. It would have been our tacit birthright. But as it is, our existence is secured at an infinite expense of special effort on our part and of peculiar discomfort to you. Wherever the Jew is found, he is a problem, a source of unhappiness to himself and to those around him. Ever since he has been scattered in your midst, he has had to maintain a continuous struggle for the conservation of his identity. Is it worthwhile in the face of this double burden, your own and yours, our own and yours, to perpetuate what we may be? After all, an addition of one unit to scores of some units. Were these centuries of alternate torture and respite not a disproportionately high price for the right to increase by one page the already overburdened record of the nations? Where it may believe as it is where it may believe, as it is, at least in expression, the belief of many fellow Jews that our right to exist is found on our similarity to other people, that we're American or Belgian or Italian, that where American or Belgian or Italian has a right to homeland, culture, history, parliament, we Jews have the same right for the same reason and for no other reason. Were this my belief, I could not find the heart to continue the struggle or to urge the struggle upon others. The effort is too severe, the price is too high, the guerdon is insignificant. Where were we like other people, we ought to have done what other peoples under similar circumstances would do. A people driven from its homeland, a people ground into dust and carried by winds of misfortune into every corner of the world, has no right to inflict its woes and longings on others. It should cease to exist. It should rid the world of its inopportune presence. Such would be my belief if I saw in ourselves only the replica with the proper variations of the rest of the world. But this is not my belief, for I see otherwise. Years of observation and thought have given increasing strength to the belief that we Jews stand apart from you Gentiles. Excuse me. Um, Belief that we Jews stand apart from you Gentiles, that a primal duality breaks the humanity I know into two distinct parts, that this duality is fundamental, and that all differences among you Gentiles are trivialities compared with that which divides all of you from us. So, Claire, I mean, he's agreeing with me. Well, he's agreeing at least that there's a difference between Jew and Gentile, and there's something fundamentally different. And one of the things that he says is fundamentally different is their thing for retaliation.
Okay, did he give examples of how Jews revenge themselves on Gentiles?
Well, not yet. I don't know if he did, but I mean, I think most Jews believe that there's a fundamental difference between Jew and Gentile.
Well, I suppose they have to, otherwise there wouldn't be any point being Jewish. Like, well, we observe the Sabbath, that's what we do, and we have to marry other Jews, and that's what we do. Um, yeah, but I mean, why the difference? Because basically, God forbids Jews from marrying Gentiles. And he doesn't exactly forbid. Well, actually, there are a few rules in the Quran saying, Muslims should marry Muslims, and yeah. I mean, but it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you care about your religion, then you can't be marrying somebody who is not of your religion, unless you surrender to their religion. And it's a kind of what do you call um, a game of chicken, really, isn't it? Who's going to convert? I mean, obviously, the person with the lower status religion, or the person who doesn't take his or her religion that seriously, is going to convert, or the person who wants to marry the other person more is going to convert.
I'm aware that this is a thesis which cannot be supported by diagrams, tables, and logarithms. I cannot even be urged with the apparent half compulsion of social and economic laws. The cogency of what I have to say does not depend on reference to obvious and ineluctable laws, natural processes acknowledged and accepted. I am also aware that the weight of what is called learned opinion will be thrown against me, that my connect contention will meet with the ridicule of facile common sense and scholarship. Nevertheless, I set it down clearly that in this Western world, there are essentially two people as spiritual forces, only two human sections with essential meaning, Jew and Gentile. But at least what credentials have I to offer, since the presentation of credentials must always precede the presentation of the thesis? What claim have I on the attention of the world? I can only answer that this book, being a serious book, must carry its own credentials and does not attempt to borrow importance from outside sources. I offer myself only as a Jew who has lived, observed, and thought. My experiences and contacts have been somewhat more varied than those of most men, but this has little to do with my views. The truth, which is spread over the whole world, is also contained in any part of it. The laws of gravitation are implied and and completely in the falling of a pebble. Wait, the laws of gravitation are implied as completely in the falling of a level to pebble to Earth, as in the rush of the sun against the counter rush of its companion stars. The law of Einstein works no less truly in the crawling of a snail than in the dizzy vibration of the fastest atomic subunit. These laws are more easily observed in the one set of cases than in the other. That is all. If I have touched the truth, it has been primarily through contact with life, and I have regarded books is but a class of living things to be observed and interpreted and placed in their setting. Life itself, observation of men and women singly and in masses, I acknowledge their works, among which books are important, a feeling for their desires, perceptions of their intent in cities, laws, theaters, games, wars. All this has brought me to the conception I shall set forth. All scholarship, particularly that scholarship which deals with the manifestation of man's desires and fears, consists of unauthoritative marginal notes, which are of interest chiefly as giving us some insight into the nature of those who jotted them down. What Tickle Tink is here. Um, it does not harm to know the history that is in books, but the only authentic history is around us. It is made daily in newspapers, theaters, meetings, election campaigns. And it is less valuable to know what the waiter said at the Simplicissimus Cabaret in Vienna when I was there 3 years ago than to know what Terence reports a slave to have said in Rome when he was there 2,000 years ago? What if my neighbor, the professor, reads Greek rather less fluently than did a certain thick witted Athenian citizen who lived in the time of Pericles and by no means as well as I read English? Is that proof of wisdom or understanding? And supposing my neighbor on the other side, the famous professor of history, knows rather less about the Peloponnesian War than the intelligent college student knows about the World War. Is that professor therefore wiser than most men? Is his opinion on life more valuable? And supposing another scholar purports to tell us what the ancient Egyptians believed, and from his account of this dead religion pretends to teach the secrets of faith, can he tell me what John Doe of Isaac Levy believes, or Isaac Levy believes? Does John Doe believe that Christ rose from the dead? Really believe that as a plain truth, as he would believe it if his mother, whom he buried 5 years ago, should suddenly come walking into his house, rotted away and clad in her tattered cerements, believe it as simply and as terribly? And does Isaac Levy believe that the waters of the Red Sea were divided as he would believe it of one day below the Williamsburg Bridge he were to see the waters split, rear, and fall again? And if neither John Doe nor Isaac Levy believes as cogently as this, then what do they really believe, if they believe anything at all? And if the professor cannot answer these questions, what does he mean when he says that the Egyptians believe that Osiris rose from the dead? And what does his reports matter? Hold on. There is no test of guarantee of a man's wisdom or his reliability beyond what he says about life itself. Life is the touchstone. Books must be read and understood in order that we may compare our experience in life with the sincere report of the experience of others. But such a one who has read all books extant on history and art is of no consequence unless there are to him an indirect commentary on what he feels around him. Hence, if I have drawn chiefly on experience and contemplation, and little on books which others will discover without my admissions, this does not affect my competency, which must be judged by standards infinitely more difficult of application. Life is not so simple that you can test a man's nearness to truth by giving him a college examination. Such examinations are mere games, they have no relation to reality. You may desire some such easy standard, but by which you can judge whether or not a man is reliable. Does he know much history, much biology, much psychology? If not, he is not worth listening to. But it is part of the frivolity of our outlook to reduce life to a set of rules and thus save ourselves the agony of constant reference to first principles. No standardized knowledge is no guarantee of truth. Put down a simple question, a living question like this: should A have killed B? Ask it of 10 fools. Five will say yes, five will say no. Ask it of 10 intelligent men. Five will say yes, five will say no. And ask it of 10 scholars. Five will say yes, and five will say no. The fools will have no reason for their decisions. The intelligent men will have a few reasons for any as many against. Wait, the intelligent men will have a few reasons for and as many against. The scholars will have more reasons for and against. But where does the truth lie? What then shall be the criterion of a man's reliability? There is none. You cannot evade your responsibility thus by entrusting your salvation into the hands of a priest specialist. A simpleton may bring you salvation, and a great philosopher may confound you. And so to life direct, as I have seen it working in others and felt it with myself, I refer the truth of what I say, and to books I refer only insofar as they are manifestations of life. Okay. Okay, give me a break. I'm tired today for some reason. Oh, oh yeah, we did talk about Dalmatian Dog and about how Dalmatian Dog is stupid.
He just doesn't get the theology, does he?
Well, he's stupid. He's stupid in that. I mean, well, he's a typical Gentile in that he thinks if something is small, it's not worth dealing with, right? It's not worth your time if it's not chopping your head off. If the no-hide laws are not chopping your head off, then why even bother with them?
Yeah, because well, maybe he doesn't want to feel stupid. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm scared of the no-hide laws," and people will say, "Don't worry about it. The media haven't told us to be scared of it, so we're not going to worry about it because it's up to the media to tell us what to be scared about, and they haven't told us to be scared about the no-hide laws." Because really, that's how people roll. And I'm afraid you will be told repeatedly by people saying, "Well, we haven't been told to be scared of the no-hide laws, only Islam." And
Well, they're
I
not. They're
guess,
not going to be told to be scared. They're going to be told that they're good. The media is not going to say anything negative about the no-hide laws.
well, that they might, they might. You never know. You really never know with the media. It depends on what they want. So we were discussing the other day whether Jordan Peterson and his cohorts are going to adopt the no-hide laws as their solution to restoring social conservatism in the West.
Stephen J. James is in the thing. Do you want to send him the link, Claire? I can do it. Stephen J. James, I'm sending you the link. Oh, actually, can you do it, Claire? Are you on your computer? Can you do it? Because if I go to do it, I'm gonna lose my connection to you and everything like that.
All right, I'll do it.
Even though Stephen J. James is also about to outlast his usefulness like Conops did.
Well, I think Stephen J. James apprehends the danger more because he is, I believe, genuinely concerned about his race, isn't he? I mean, he
Well, I
hangs around in these circles, and he's sort of getting more pro-marriage now every as we progress. And although
okay. Let
he's
me.
skeptical about religion, he kind of sees a point, but he doesn't want to antagonize his mainly Christian following, who won't get theology. But I think he does kind of understand. I mean, it's sad when people pretend not to understand these things, you know, so they don't have to deal with it.
Let's see how much longer until the next. But another question, more subtle and disturbing, must be faced. I have said there are two life forces in the world. I know. The world I know, Jewish and Gentile, ours and yours. If this be a truth, we must not be driven from it if, like many other truths, it is overlaid and obscured by the irrelevancies of life, by the intersection and confusion of currents. Here is the Gentile life force, here is the Jewish life force. What their origin was, I cannot say. I can only surmise dimly what circumstances reacting upon what original impulses produced the Jewish life force and the Gentile life force. I can only affirm to the Jews in the main belongs the Jewish life force, a consistent and coherent force, a direction in human thought and reaction. To you, others, belongs the Gentile life force, a mode of life and thought distinct from others, but the the borderline is not clear. Not all of us Jews are representatives of the Jewish life force. Not all of you Gentiles are altogether alien to it. Exactly. Well, Claire, I think that's what you're trying to say. Not all Jews are into retaliation and not all Gentiles are into forgiveness, but there's a common streak. Like there's a streak in Jews and Gentiles that there's similarities. Hold on one second. Chamo, I think your alarm went off. Can you make me food? Um, um, yeah, okay, not every Jew has Jewish essence, not every Gentile has Gentile essence, but there's definitely streaks.
I mean, have you considered why there is a difference? Because if you're of a theological frame of mind, you would be asking, well, why did God divide humanity between Jews and Gentiles? I mean, that's the obvious question to ask ourselves, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to think God didn't do it, but I would like to think the Jews did it. But um I don't know. I don't
Well, it's
know.
a story anyway. It's their story, whether all of them believe in it or not. It's their story, so we have to make sense of it, don't we? I mean, okay, I'm just assuming that like the story is useful because Gentiles took on a version of their religion with Christianity, and Christianity is failing, and liberal democracy, which would replace Christianity, is failing, and well, it would benefit us to ask ourselves questions about what happened and what went wrong and what we can do about it. I would have thought.
What went wrong? What do you mean what went wrong with the Gentiles?
What went wrong with the West?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it didn't even occur to you to ask yourself what went wrong with the West as
what
we
what
approach World War III.
what went wrong with all of the friggin' Gentiles, to be honest with you? I mean, not that Judaism is perfect, but I mean, maybe the Jews were created to show all the Gentiles that they need to like improve themselves.
Yes, yes. I mean, I was talking about this rabbit that runs around the dog track that is supposed to make the dogs run faster in their race on the dog track. It's a mechanical rabbit that goes round and round the track to, obviously, get the dogs to run faster.
Well, I see it more of like it's like a karate match, and basically the Jews are like this kind of like black belt, and basically they're there for you to defeat them. You have to just keep practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing until you can defeat your opponent, and you're not going to defeat your opponent until you're better than them.
Um, okay, I don't think it's meant to be, just hostile in that way, because of the nature of what Jews also think they're supposed to do, which is to teach the no-hide laws that you keep going on about. So there,
Well, I
there is
know.
an
Well,
official role that they're supposed, and a purpose, and they haven't been doing it, and therefore they get punished. Oh, did you ever watch that video that I keep going on about from JTV about Jews being evidence of God?
no, I didn't watch that, but I know this idea of Jews being the evidence of God is quite common, actually.
Is it? Well, it was new to me when I heard of it, but yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. Uh, Because I mean, the narrative is, oh, look at us, we're so few in number, and we were just so low status. We were worse than slaves. We were fleeing slaves with no land. And God protected us and gave us Canaan, which became the kingdom of Israel. But we lost it because we disobeyed God, you know. So, so it's a continuing narrative and it hasn't finished because they're still around and we're still interacting with them.
Hmm.
And I'm saying, well, Jews could be considered a microcosm of humanity. And if we look at them, if we analyze and study them, we can find the solutions to our problems.
We have lived for many centuries in close continuity, if not in contiguity, if not in intimacy. Our prophetic books, our most characteristic influences, have been read to you for many hundreds of years. Something in these books has developed here and there among you, a latent individual impulse to our Jewish way of life and thought. Yes, by reading their books, we did become more Jewish. And actually, the only reason I think that I have any semblance or ability to fight against the Noahide laws is because I was basically raised in Noahide. Jehovah's Witness is probably the most Noahide religion on earth, even
Well,
though
technically,
no,
you're still an idolater because you claim Jesus is divine, and the
no, but
worship of
that's not
anything that
idolatry.
isn't God is idolatry.
No, we just believe he's an angel. They believe he's an angel. They don't believe that he's God, so it's not idolatry. That's not idolatry. Essentially, our prophetic books cannot change your Gentile nature, but in stray, pr- predestined hearts, they bring forth fruit. Yeah, but in stray, predestined hearts. Your outlook on life, your dominant reactions are the same today as they were 2,000 years ago. All that has changed is the instrument of expression. You live the same life under different faiths, but something clings to you here and there, resembling the original form of the faith we gave you. Here and there, our somber earnestness breaks out of the dazzling kaleidoscope of your history. And we, for all our segregation, have caught, particularly of late, something of your way of life. As a few Gentiles have spoken in Jewish tones, so more than one Jew speaks the language of the Gentile. Jews like a Gentile life here and there, life. Jews live a Gentile life here and there, while Gentile lives lives give expression to Jewish emotions. Yet the cleavage is there abysmal and undeniable. In the main, we are forever distinct. Ours is one life, yours is another. Such accidental confusion as much some northerners darker than southerners does not affect the law that the southerner is darker skinned. The law holds nonetheless for accidental and contradictory cases. You may even have Jews in your midst who did not learn their way of life from us and did not inherit it from a Jewish forebearer. We may have authentic Gentiles in our midst. These single protests are of no account. They are extreme and irrelevant variations. See, I'm nothing like a regular Gentile. Excuse me. I'm nothing like a regular Gentile. So, um, and of as little account are the occasional transferences of customs and conventions taken over in the mass. We have customs and conventions of yours imposed on our fundamental way of life, even if you have the surface credo of a Jewish faith imposed on your way of life. But in the end, your true nature works itself into the patterns of the borrowed faith and expresses itself undeniably. So we, borrowing from you, finally assimilate the loan and in time make it essentially ours. Beyond all these irrelevancies, which hide at times but do not change the issue, lies that clear and fateful division of life, Jewish and Gentile. Because I have mingled intimately with the Jewish world and with the Gentile world, I know well how easily exceptions how exceptions obscure the rule. But I know just as well the unsounded abyss between us. What I have learned in your midst stands in my mind sharply severed from what I have learned in the midst of my people. I listen to your life to the brilliant chorus which goes up from lands, governments, cities, books, churches, moralities, and in my mind, I can no more confuse it with the tone of Jewish life than I could confuse the roaring of a tempest with the deliberate utterance of the still small voice. I repeat, it is of life I speak, of masses of men and women, of the things they say and do, of their daily services, of their daily selves as I have known them. It is of life at first hand it is of life at first hand that I speak of yourselves as you are in masses and singly of my own people as I know them. My conviction came first from this contact and from mediation on its meaning and from meditation on its meaning. I learned this belief of mine not in books, not in history, but in Manchester, Paris, Berlin, Vienna, New York. No, so Gentiles, I conclude, have a way of living and thinking wherever they may be. So Jews have a way of living and thinking. Had no books ever been written, were there no histories to refer to, I would have come to this belief. I do not believe that this primal difference between Gentile and Jew is reconcilable. You and we may come to an understanding, never to reconciliation. There will be irritation between us as long as we are in intimate contact. For nature and constitution and vision divide us from all of you forever. Not a mere conviction, not a mere language, not a mere difference of national or religious alliance. With the best will on both sides, successful adaptation to each other will always be insecure and transient. Waves of liberalities may affect our mutual relationship from time to time. We shall delude ourselves, you and we, with the belief that we have bridged the gulf. Many will Many will pass their lives in that delusion, but as has come to pass so often, the difference with which is deeper than consciousness will assert itself. There is a limit to our moral or mental possibility. We cannot climb out of ourselves. The complete and permanent reconciliation of your way of life with ours is beyond that limit. Of course, it is the frequent theme of editors of popular professional optimists and the gullible and facile publicists that the path to reconciliation between Jew and Gentile is the path of knowledge, or rather of information. The more you know concerning our history, our customs, our beliefs, the nearer you will find us to you, the less you will dislike us. But this is futile and unreliable and amiability. It is by no means even a general rule that the best informed people are the least accessible to anti Semitism, that the most backward countries are the most infected. Here is a cult, or at least a feeling, which sits with equal grace on the grossest of your peasantry and the most refined of your aristocracy. In the one case, it is fortified by superstition. In the other case, by all the information that scientific research into philosophy, history, ethnography, and anthropology can accumulate. Not that, in my opinion, the aristocrat knows as much than the peasant not that, in my opinion, the aristocrat knows us better than the peasant, the scholar better than the boor. But even if you should understand us, and I offer you this toward that end, we would not find mutual tolerance any easier. This book, therefore, cannot be presented as an effort to achieve an end which from the outset is declared impossible. I do not propose to combat anti Semitism. I only wish to present what seems to me its its true explanation in the hopes of changing some of its manifestations. Okay, that's the end of a section. So let's see how much longer we have to go for this chapter. Okay, we're on page 26. So we have another like 10 pages in this chapter, but these pages are really short. And then we get into sports. I don't know if Stephen J. James will be here by then. Actually, I want the next stream to be about Stephen J. James. Um, Maybe we'll just do a little reading today. I'm not sure. Oh, Dalmatian Dog is here. What kind of stream title is this?
Shall I give him the link?
Yeah, give Dalmatian Dog the link. What kind of stream title is this? It's about you, Dalmatian Dog. You weren't here. So, according to Maury Samuel, who wrote You Gentiles, the Gentiles, the Christian Gentiles are about forgiveness, but the Jews are about retaliation. And I'm saying the Gentiles are dumb for not being into retaliation. Let's see if he comes on. Let's talk for a second before we go. I'm tired today for some reason.
Well, I've sent him the link on Gab, so if he's coming, he should be here shortly.
Yeah, Dalmatian Dog. Here, I'll just post it in the chat so he doesn't have to go all the way to freaking Gab.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a little tired today.
What did you get up to last night?
Nothing much.
Hmm.
Nothing much at all, actually.
Mhm.
Maybe I need some pot, but let's see. It's too
That's not
easy.
that's not
What
going to get you energized.
Dalmatian Dog should be coming. It's good because I'm tired. I don't feel like reading, and I don't. You know what? I didn't. A little. I was. Rabbi Harry Watton was really odd. I liked him and I didn't like him. He was profound and stupid. His writing style was good and bad at the same time. But I'm finding this guy's writing style a little bit harder to read. I so far I'm not liking it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not listening with much attention, but it kind of nothing sticks in my mind about what you read about him so far.
Well, he's just trying to tell us that there is a difference between Jew and Gentile. He's not telling us what it is yet, but um, yeah, he's not telling us what it is yet.
Mm.
Let's hope this is not another Alan Cecil where well, no, it doesn't seem like to be like that. Alan Cecil, I notice, has this tendency to trash his enemy for 99% of the time and then give his solution all the way at the end, you know, with as little bit of with as little what's it called? With as little explanation as possible. Hello, Dalmatian Dog.
Hi. I just woke up. You can hear me all right, I assume.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I have not done anything. How are you guys up so early? What time? It's because for Claire it's later in the day already. And Vincent, what time is it for you?
It's 8:52.
Okay, it is early as heck for you too. You're on the East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just started this and I did think about you and I named the title after you because I was telling Claire, so this book that I got, You Gentiles, actually for some reason they decided to take a book out of the library, cut the spine off of it and photocopy it and then put it into another book, a soft cover book for distribution. So this book came from a library, so there's some underwriting on it. And what was underwritten, one of the things that was underlined was that the Christians are into forgiveness, whereas the Jews are into retaliation. And I said that I'm taking the Jewish. Um, I like the Jewish way of retaliation. You were like, oh no,
Have
like
you
a
ever
typical.
heard of Have you ever heard what Bobby Fischer had to say about the Jewish people?
I've heard many things, but what particularly did he say that you want to bring out?
Well, like about how they're greedy, they're selfish, they don't like manual labor. What do you think about all
Yeah,
that? What do you think about the things he said?
Well, Rabbi Harry Watton, we were just reading, said that Jews do need to get into manual labor and that they won't improve themselves until they do. But he was a total heretic, and he was not a regular
That
normal
they
Jew.
that they the Jews hate nature and the natural order because they feel it's bigger and stronger than they are. I mean, I just woke up. I feel like I don't want to. What do you think about that? I mean, do you believe that Jews hate nature and the natural order because they can't control it, right? I mean,
Well, I read there's an article up on my blog stopnohidelaw.blogspot.com about nature, and it was by a pretty well-known Jewish organization, something like, Jews in the Public Square or something like, I forget what it is. It's not an unknown Jewish organization, but yeah, they did say that Judaism is very anti-nature and that nature is cruel and that nature is messed up, and that actually the Nazis were the most nature focused political movement on earth, and that's why they were so barbaric and stuff like that. And yes, they are very anti-nature. And this woman went so far as to say that Jews don't even like the sight of nature, they prefer cities and stuff like that. I mean, she took it to a really far length when she said that Jews were anti-nature.
yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know. I don't understand you, Vincent. I genuinely don't understand you. You seem sort of strange to me. Like you're a Gentile, but you talk about Jews all day. Are you really a Gentile? Didn't I see you with a kippa on or whatever? What is that? What the hats are called? I don't know what the hats are even called. But
No, 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 no. I never wore a kippah. I'm not a Jew. I'm a Gentile, and but I I have I'm able to see. Look, I'm able to see. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so I was raised outside of mainstream American Gentile culture. And if you know anything about Jehovah's Witness, the history and its connections with Freemasonry, its rejection of the Trinity, its rejection of all holidays, it's very Noahide. So I was raised the closest thing to a Noahide. I also had to read the Bible a lot and the Old Testament a lot. And I had to do Eyes of Jesus a lot, like the Jews do, where you have to actually have to go back in scripture and prove what you're saying is right and show the scripture and the verse and read it out loud and all this other kind of stuff. So I was raised in a Noahide culture, which is pseudo Judaism. Noahide is just calm down Judaism for the Gentiles. So I was raised in between a Gentile and a Jew, and I do think that I do have many Jewish tendencies because of my Noahide childhood, and yeah, and I think that I used to think that the Jews were smarter and more able, but evil, and the Gentiles were less able, but weren't so evil. But now I think they're both fucking evil, and just something better needs to be made and synthesized. And that's what Rabbi Harry Watton was saying, was that we have to synthesize Jew and Gentile, that Jews need to become more like Gentiles and Gentiles need to become more like Jews if either one is going to defeat the other. So he said, if Jews don't become more like the Nazis, they won't defeat the Nazis. And if the Nazis don't become more like Jews, they won't defeat the Jews. And I think that's pretty good advice.
yeah, I'd say that's a sophisticated take. I think there's probably some truth to that, but I think that eventually everybody will just become secular over time. So I don't know. I don't know
Well,
how long. You said you were raised as what though? One of those people that goes around house to house and what did you say? What was it called? I forget what
Jeho-
they're called. Jehovah's
Jehovah's
Witness. Yeah. Don't aren't Jehovah's Witnesses kind of strange? Well, do you believe in holidays?
No, there's no holidays. There's nothing because none of those holidays come from the Bible. They're very Old Testament focused.
Do they believe
Um,
in blasphemy and idolatry that's outlawed, or you said it's like a
no,
no-hide laws, right?
it's a Noahide religion in that, well, okay, there's no such thing as a Noahide religion. If it's a religion, it's not Noahide. It's the closest thing you're going to get to Noahide because Jesus is not God. They don't believe in the Trinity, so they're not practicing idolatry. Is the first most important thing. And the second is that they don't invent any holidays for themselves. So they have no Christmas, no Easter. They've done nothing like that. So even though they're not fully Noahide, they're pretty much the closest thing that you're going to get to Noahidism on Earth. They're not political, so they don't set up courts. So maybe Islam is a little bit closer to,
Wow,
no,
are they against LGBT and homosexuality?
yes,
So
yes.
how could you're aren't you a homosexual?
Yeah, but I left. I left Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, okay, okay. You just left that, just turned your back on the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, I turned my back and I left. I wanted nothing to do with it.
So what are you now then? You're just secular, or what do you believe in exactly?
No, I'm basically nothing. I do lightly follow the philosophy of Beyondism by Raymond Cattell. If you want to read that deeper for yourself, I'll explain it now. But if you want to read it deeper for yourself, it's no the blogs. It's religion of beyondism.blogspot.com. So he was a psychologist, a very famous psychologist. Not just he won the award Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Psychological Association. He's published like 25 personality tests. He was a personality scientist. And basically what he said, well, morality. Okay, religion and God have always given us morality, but we're in the age of science now. So how does science give us morality, or can it give us morality? And he said morality would come from evolution. So his idea was this, that you allow all the nations on earth to be separate, and you allow all the people on earth to be separate, and you allow them to have separate cultures and separate races, and you encourage them to continue to separate further genetically and to continue to separate further culturally. And what you do is you observe each culture and you let them come up with their own rules, and then you sit and see how the culture progresses and who does the best, and then you would absorb the cultural and genetic traits from the countries and the people that do the best, and you would weed out the genes and the cultures from those who are not doing so well. And so you kind of like go through this constant synthesis of your culture, absorbing what is good, kicking out what is bad, and hopefully refining yourselves. And to him, that's how we would find morality. So I mean, I basically, that would be my push upon the world at this time. But besides that, I used to be Hindu. I left Hinduism. I really, I have no God. I don't really have anything like that.
Okay, let me just address what you just said about there about can science give us morality? Do you know who Sam Harris is?
Yes.
Okay, do you know he said before that science can give us answers to moral questions. Are you familiar with
He,
him saying that?
no, no, no. I didn't know he said that, but okay.
No, yeah, that's his take. He's like a I mean he's a neuroscientist, but he is a scientist. So he's very big into science and he's very big into philosophy and morality. But my thing about morality is, like I said the other day, I don't think that like it's like I don't even think morality is really real, like how people say that it is. Like uh like I think that without religion or science, morality would still exist. And I think that's just like an objective fact. And that those groups of people, the science people and the religious people, like use that as a con in order to attract people into their group, or like in order to they sort of like I think a religion is just like a group of people with like a certain moral outlook that is similar. So, but it's like I don't know how to put this.
Well, I think you are confused
What
because
did I say there
morality
though?
cannot exist without religion. You keep insisting that it can exist
It
without
can.
religion.
It 100% can, Claire.
How?
Okay, so you're saying that people who don't believe in any god they do have some sort of religion, whether it's liberalism or whatever. I mean, you always say liberalism is a religion. So I mean, you think everybody's in a religion, some sort of religion, I assume, right? But
Well,
what
they
the fuck
say
is a
they are.
religion? Now we're gonna get into the certain things about the terms. But listen, I want to get a drink real quick. Can I listen and I'll unmute and I'll let you guys address everything I just said. I gotta go for like 2 minutes or something, a few minutes or something.
Okay,
Okay, all right, be right back.
see you in a bit. But I mean, it's really very simple if you think about morality. So I think Dalmatian Dog is thinking, oh, I feel, a sense of justice, and I know when something's wrong, and I get angry when I see injustice, and therefore I'm a moral person. I think that's basically what he's saying. So obviously we all have a sense of fairness, and we would feel a sense of justice when justice is being done, and a sense of injustice when injustice is being done. And we want to think that our group is the most righteous of all. But how are we going to compare, our group with other groups? And we can only compare by interacting with other groups, and maybe even fighting them and seeing who wins. But basically the whole idea of morality is that every member has a place, has a position in that society, and is expected to fulfill certain obligations. And basically we're just comparing, which group has the most efficient system. It's like having all these different armies. Like, obviously there's going to be, the usual things, the rules, the stories, and how well or badly these rules are enforced. And I'm saying there's only five world religions, and you can easily work out which one has a higher status, and which ones you can safely ignore, such as the
Well, yeah,
Eastern
I mean that's
religions.
yes. Hold on one second. Wait one second. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So basically, I'm saying there's public morality and private morality. Private morality is our sense of, you know, justice, and public morality is what is enforced by law. And what is enforced by law is usually divine law.
Right. Okay. While he's gone, he's going to be gone. Let's read another paragraph or two. Let me see. Okay, my phone is charging. Slow going today. Now that he came on, I'm not quite as tired as I was. It livened me up a little bit, and I just smoked. So anyway, we shall not come to understand the nature of the primal difference between Gentile and Jew if we attempt to treat it merely as a difference in accepted dogmas and philosophies. A religion, in its formulated essence, is seldom the real religion. The practice and belief. Creeds, which in their formulated essences are alienable to a people, may be accepted by the people, but the true nature of the people asserts itself. The form and dogma of the religion are retained, but the fabric, the institutions, the true reactions, which make the religion what it is outside of its sacred books, these are the indices to its actual force and significance. Well, he's right in that the Christians were given the Bible, and what did they add to it? Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all the different saints, and more and more mythology and apocrypha that suited their European tendencies, right? And the Gnostics added to it, even if they weren't Europeans. A lot of those Gnostics probably, I guess, were Jewish, or maybe they were Greek. I'm not sure. But the form and dogma of the religion are retained, but the fabric of the institutions, the true reactions which make the religion what it is outside of its sacred books, these are the indices to its actual force and significance. There is such a thing as conversion of man's opinions. There is no such thing outside the field of long and laborious psychotherapy in individuals' cases as conversion of a man's nature. That is beyond the reach of conscious effort, certainly beyond the reach of the missionary. Change a man's opinions, and his nature will soon learn to express itself through the new medium. I believe that. This preface to my observation on the difference between Jew and Gentile because I anticipate the commonplace allusion to the similarity of your creeds to to the identity of source and to the origin of the founder of your religion. Christianity, the reality, not the credo, is not a variation of Judaism, whatever Christ or his chroniclers may have intended. Your nature is the same today as it was before the advent of Christianity. Within the framework of another creed, your instincts would have woven a similar design. And if not religious, this difference certainly cannot be in the nature of philosophy or a Weltanschauung. It is true that a man's nature dictates his philosophy and Weltanschauung, even as it does his religion. But we must always remember that our logic is nearly always at variance with our natures. A man's nature expresses itself only indirectly, is never found in the face value of his assertions. Surely we differ in religion and philosophy, but only if we consider religion and philosophy not as assertions, but as practices or art of life presented in their names. Though you and we were to agree on all fundamental principles as openly stated, through we should though we should argue that there is only one God, that war is evil, that universal peace is the most desirable of human ideals, yet we should remain fundamentally different. The language of our external expression is alike, but the language of our internal meaning is different. You call that line in that part of the spectrum red, so do we, but we will ever know that the sensation red in you is the sensation red in us. But who will ever know that the sensation red in you is the sensation red in us? Life is fluid and dogmas are fluid, and life trying to come to terms with dogmas does not easily break with them because but endows them with almost infinite plasticity. Under the same dogmas, a man will kill another or die rather than lift his hand to kill. One generation means one thing in a dogma, another generation means another thing. And at last, even the elasticity of the dogma will not stand the strain. A sudden wave of emotion comes to reinforce accumulated resentment. There's a revolution, and a new religion is founded. New dogmas are accepted. Perhaps they do not answer the need. Perhaps they express only a passing fashion. Perhaps they are no nearer than the old dogmas to a reconciliation between philosophy and instinct. But they may take root, and the process begins all over again. Instinct endures for glacial glacial ages. Religions revolve with civilizations. Let us differentiate then between a religion as a dogma and the same religion as a practice, art, or way of life. We may compare religion with religion that is legitimate and fruitful, but let us, in so doing, compare dogma with dogma, practice with practice, and even when we treat of dogma, let us be careful to distinguish between the dogma as proclaimed and the dogma as it is transmuted by the emotions. Oh, here you are. We're at the place where we talk about retaliation, Dalmatian Dog. And certainly between the dogmas of your religions and ours, there is little difference, for we gave you the dogmas. It is absurd to assert that the sole difference between you and us is that you believe the Messiah has already come while we believe he is yet to come, or that you believe, even in theory, in the doctrine of forgiveness while we believe in the doctrine of retaliation. Even in theory, this difference is trifling in the face of the overwhelming bulk of common inspiration. The difference between us is abysmal. It is not a disagreement about a historic fact or about a commandment which neither of us observe. In some of these dogmatic disagreements, we may find the key to our differences. They do not constitute the differences. A few of them, those who have not been stretched to accommodate your instincts but express them readily, were caused by the difference between us. They did not cause it. That primal difference between which I have sensed more and more keenly as I have tasted more and more of life, your life and our life, is a difference in the sum totals of our respective emotions under the stimulus of the external world. It is a difference in the essential equality or tone of our mental and spiritual being. Life is to you one thing, to us another, and according to these two essential qualities, we make answer to the needs and impulses which are common to both of us. Okay, I need to have a drink. Claire, do you have anything to say? We have about 5 more pages for this section, but I don't know if we'll keep reading today. Yes, Claire?
Um, I'm. I guess I'm saying what I want to say in the chat already about people not understanding the difference between public and private morality. And yes, people might feel a sense of justice and injustice at certain things, but as atomized individuals who are not part of any group, they'll be helpless and they probably won't get married. And if they got married, their marriage won't last and they won't have control over their children, who will be a disappointment to them. And, well, they just won't carry on. And they probably say they
Canaanites.
don't care.
Oh man, this is a lot to address. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I mean, because
Claire, Claire,
Dalmatian Dog
Claire,
doesn't care.
our conversation would have to go on for a long, long time. I mean, I understand what you're saying about morality, Claire, and I understand that. Like, Claire, remember when we used to talk, and I'd say I don't do morality, I don't do moral questions, I don't do philosophy. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff last night on Gab. I've been very busy. I don't know how you guys can find the time to keep conversing like at this level of like intellectualism. I guess it's not too intellectual, but like every single morning, every single day, it's like Jesus Christ. Like I don't know. I guess this is a good way to spend your time. Your voice gets recorded and logged for all of human history on YouTube, whatever. Right? At least until Vincent's channel gets taken down for some sort of slip up or something goes wrong. But I guess it's a good way to document. I guess it seems more complicated than just using Gab. But Vincent, I'll address what you said in regard to retaliation. You were talking the other day about revenge as well. You remember that? Like
Yeah.
you seem to be very focused on these concepts of revenge and retaliation and things of this nature. I mean, I view them as kind of similar, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's I don't know. I could make arguments against it. You understand like sometimes it's not good to get revenge. Like you have to be the bigger person and let the situation go, right? Obviously.
No.
Okay. uh. Well, didn't
Well, okay, yes.
even
Wait,
even
okay. Yes. The
okay.
answer to that.
Go ahead. Well, even JJ the other day, I think his name was. He made that point about if it's always just this retaliatory violence, like within gangs. This is what he was saying, which I agree with. Is it's just gonna spiral out of control. Who do the Jews that need to retaliate against exactly? The Gentiles, which is like everybody who isn't them. I mean, they need to
Well,
retaliate
look,
against their
well,
like.
look, Christianity did a lot of bad things to them, so they definitely want revenge against Christianity. If you think that they don't want revenge against Christianity, then you're insane. And if you think they're not actively trying to get it, you're insane. And if you think they're not going to get it, you're also insane, in my opinion. Um, So yeah, definitely Christianity, definitely white people, definitely Europe, definitely Muslims. Yeah,
Well,
definitely Muslims.
they want revenge against the Muslims.
Of course they do. The Muslims did not deal all that pleasantly with them all the time when they were in the Middle East.
I don't think it's as much as a drive of revenge and retaliation, but more of the Jews' sick perversion and dislike of nature, like and what's right. I mean, I don't think that they're I, I don't know. It's hard to actually for me to actually. I mean, maybe I'd have to read more about the what the rabbis are saying or other people are saying, but I don't really know how much the Jews are actually driven by revenge in regard to the things that they do or retaliation, whatever. Use whatever word you want. You're saying that they are. You're saying you believe Jews are highly motivated. Like, what exactly are you saying, Vincent?
I'm saying what he, well, I'm saying what this Jew said, that Christianity is marked by forgiveness and Judaism is revar, revar, marked by retaliation,
Okay.
and
Doesn't well
yeah,
doesn't forgiveness sound better to you than you're saying if you were given those two choices, you'd choose retaliation.
it
Or
would
you,
okay, it would depend on the situation. If okay, it would depend on the situation. It would be really in the end, practically in the end, which would be better for me. Like, yeah, okay, if someone's like much bigger than me, or okay, no, I would get retaliation, but I would always get retaliation, but the way I would get it would be maybe I would get it really long term. Maybe I would get it like maybe my retaliation would take a century. But yes, no, I always believe in retaliation then.
he
Yeah.
said so he said Jews are driven by retaliation. What are the retaliatory acts that the Jews have taken like that he can like what would they be? What's an example of one? I wouldn't even know. That you can
In
actually
in
know
per
as
in
retaliatory.
Purim in the story of Purim, Haman plotted to kill the Jews, and so the Jew Mordecai and Esther foibled his plot, right? So he the point is that it was over. The plot was over to kill the Jews. But instead of just ending the plot, they ordered 75,000 Persians whom they considered to be loyal to Haman murdered. Um, so that's an example, and they like to remember that every Purim. They, obviously they're never going to let the Nazis live down. And if you think they're always going to demonize anyone who ever did anything wrong to them. They're going to, they might not get physical revenge, but they're going to get social revenge, and they're eventually going to get revenge on the Catholic Church for what it did to them. And, they're going to sling mud. They're just going to sling mud. Hello? Wait, what happened?
He dropped
Oh,
out.
oh, he dropped out. Oh, wait, hold on. Hello?
Hey, yeah, sorry. I don't even know I left by mistake. I don't know what I did. Yeah, no, that all makes sense, Vincent. I understand what you're saying. Like, they'll slander anybody who goes against them, and it won't just be forgiving their enemies, but it will be. But I don't know. I don't know if you could chalk that up to retaliation. I guess you're saying you can. I don't
Well,
know.
you
It's
don't
hard for
know
me to
if they're
say.
acting as Jews or as liberals. Can you
Well,
separate
he's
the
Yeah,
two?
that's
okay.
valid.
Well, okay. Unlike Rabbi Harry Watton, Maurice Samuels is respectable Jew, is respectable, religious, Orthodox, leading Jewish thought leader, highly respected. So, he's not just some kind of like crazy leftist communist Jew like Rabbi Harry Watton was. So I think that if he's saying it and he was meant this, I don't know, he must have known that his fellow Jews would be reading this. And so he said, okay, well, a very famous, well respected Jew has sided with me against two Gentiles. So I feel a little bit,
Vincent,
oh,
why do you say that like that against two Gentiles? You aren't you a Gentile?
I am a Gentile, but
Okay,
I am not like
I,
99.99% of Gentiles.
I've
I am
never
Vincent
met.
thinks he's smarter.
No, I'm a Judified Gentile, but truly Judified, not like a Christian Gentile, not Judaized like, oh, my Christianity is getting Judaized because they're trying to put the Sabbath in. I'm talking about like, yeah, my Jehovah's Witness upbringing and then my study of the Noahide laws. I've absorbed its virtues, so I'm a cross between a Jew and a Gentile.
Uh-huh. Okay. It just seems like it's you call others. It just seems like you want. It's like you're a wannabe. I don't know what to say.
No,
But
I'm not a I'm not. I just I don't I don't identify with 99.99% of Gentiles. I think that I do believe that the Jews appeared almost like a disease in that the Gentiles were deficient in some things, and because they were deficient, it kind of like created its own disease, and then as soon as we rectify our behavior, then the disease will go away. You know what I mean? It's that's
What,
what
are you sort of saying that Christianity is a disease?
No, I'm saying that Judaism is a disease, that the Gentiles were not living their lives properly. And so Judaism evolved like a parasite because, the system really wasn't properly put together. And they act as like a destructive force on it. But as soon as we find out what it is, how we're supposed to be living our life, you know, the the Jews won't really be able to attack us anymore, and
Oh,
we'll
so,
actually
so you're saying you haven't found the secret, or you have, or what?
um
To make perfect, or to make adequate the currently inadequate Gentile.
I'm getting there. I
I think
maybe
it's
there's
Islam, isn't it?
what?
Islam will protect you from Jews because your Christianity has failed.
here, can I address Claire? Like Claire, I thought that was a good point when you said it's hard to tell if they're acting as Jews or liberals. But for me, it's like it's hard to tell if they're acting in retaliate, if it's like actually a like because you can never really know if somebody does something like as a retaliatory sort of thing versus they just do it uh
Because they can.
because it's like it's their nature without any thought of retaliation. Yeah, it's just like a natural thing where they don't even consider like it as an act like that. So or yeah, because they can or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know.
And
Like
you can say that they're bad people if what they do to you goes against their principles, right? And then you'll know whether they're a good Jew or a bad Jew. It's like, well, if you're a Jew and you go against your religious principles, then you're a bad Jew. And liberal Jews are by definition bad Jews because liberalism, basically goes against, you know, Judaism, doesn't it?
yeah, I
Or,
wouldn't
or,
even know.
or
I don't know anything
liberalism
about that.
changes its principles so that we don't even know what liberalism is these days, except that, our ruling classes get to say what liberalism is, and it changes all the time. And we
Uh,
used to think liberalism was a good thing, and now not so much, maybe.
I have a very like I don't have a good understanding of Judaism. I'm going to be honest. Like I don't understand. I don't know all the holy books or know all the
just
history
just
or anything.
just study the Noahide laws. It's no Judaism is
The 13
Noahide.
principles.
Yeah, no. Judaism is Noahidism, more intricate and expanded and built upon and spiritualized. Okay, here's the thing. We were all supposed to follow the seven Noahide laws before the Jews came around. The Jews are only there to act as our priests, so they have a higher level of law they have to follow. But the only reason that they're doing that is to teach the Gentiles the Noahide laws. Within the
And they
Noahide
haven't
laws,
done it.
but within the Noahide laws are all the principles of Judaism, and it, the only holy books you need to know are the Torah, the Tanakh, the Talmud, and then to read Halakha. That's it. It's not like you don't need to worry about Kabbalah and all the mysticism and the Midrash. If you want to get into that, I don't get into that. But the Talmud and the Torah and the Tanakh is really all you need to
Well, but
know.
the
And then
Tanakh includes a Torah.
yeah, the Tanakh includes the Torah. So the Tanakh and the Talmud, and then you just need halakhic literature. But don't bother yourself in Jewish law because it's going to get into a bunch of spiritual stuff that you don't really need to worry about. and it's not important and it's really not relevant and it only applies to the Jews. So it's not even really worth discussing. Just get into the Noahide laws because then you'll be discussing what's actually pertinent to all of humanity. You'll actually be talking about like it's still the principles of Judaism, but it's all practical stuff. It's not like I don't know. I don't know how to wipe your ass or I don't weird stuff. I don't know. Like
I think the Jews could eventually just destroy themselves. I don't think that they even need. There's so much infighting amongst Judaism, from what I see. Do you agree with that? Like,
In Israel, yes. Well,
yeah,
there's a lot of fighting there,
and there's
blocking
fightings
highways.
between there's fighting between liberal Jews and Christian Jews too, right? And so Jews have their own. Oh, they're weird people.
yeah, but the thing is, the way I see this is that the Orthodoxy, as they convert the Noahides, the more Noahides we have. If there's, let's say that in 50 years, there's like
Yeah, you think Orthodoxy is going to take over, but how do you know that the
with the
Orthodox
help
is?
of the Noahides, with the help of
Yeah,
these Noah, there's
sure.
limitless. There's only 20 million Jews. There's limitless Noahides. So Orthodoxy is 10% of Jewry. So if 10% of Jewry converts millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of Noahides, then you have Orthodox Jewry plus all the Noahides, and that will outbreed and outmaneuver liberal Jews who are not having kids and who are intermarrying and who are disappearing.
Yes, okay, Vincent. I've heard this before. As this is what your thought is about the situation.
Well,
Okay, and
I think it's like a
How do you know the liberal Jews won't get the Orthodox ones to leave behind Orthodoxy for liberalism?
well because well
That
I
just
just
doesn't
don't.
seem like a
Well,
real
because
possible.
they're disappearing as Jews, so they're no longer going to be as Jews, being like Orthodoxy, come out of Orthodoxy and become a liberal Reformed Jew. They're going to be coming out almost like Mishlings and Christ now, their grandchildren are going to be Mishlings and Christian Jews. Judas Fly told me 80% of secular Jews, liberal Jews in America, marry out of Judaism. That's what he told me.
but the point is that they're not getting on in Israel, and the religious Jews are basically saying, I think they are talking about theocracy, and people like Joshua have been saying they want to abolish conscription, which kind of suggests that the religious Jews think that they can come to an accommodation with the Arabs surrounding them, because basically they'd have no problem living under Sharia. It's only the secular Jews who would, well, hate the idea.
There needs to be Christians overseeing these Jews. I mean, there needs to be people with their eyes on the Jews, watching them and knowing what the heck's going on with them, because
Well, the world is watching them.
yeah, I mean, to some degree, the sophisticated world, I guess, is watching them. I mean, they play a role, obviously. I wouldn't say the entire world. I mean, there's a world, obviously, of just like people who are living in their own, turning on the TV. No, there's no thoughts about Jewish power or elitism or whatever, obviously, right?
So,
But
so you identify with Christians, Dalmatian Dog? Do you
uh,
believe in God, or or you just another Stephen J. James? It's like, well, my ancestors were Christian, and therefore I support Christianity, without really, asking yourself why it failed and all that.
uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really discuss religion. I have a weird view that I don't think my only view really is that I don't think reality is what it seems. That's really my only. That's all I'd be able to tell you. But I think it's illusionary. Like I've said, I've
What is
posted.
illusionary? Christianity is they
No,
don't
no,
exist.
no, no. Reality is illusionary. I think.
Why do you say that?
I used to say life is like a video game. As life is a video game. It kind of does feel like one, but I think, uh, I've also said, it's hard for me to answer, Claire, but I've said like, I don't think you can just die.
You're basically an atheist and a nihilist. You don't really believe in anything. You just know who you hate, and
No,
that's
no.
it.
Well, no. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it to you. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist and a nihilist, but I would say that I don't, and I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily like a. I might be. I'm like a Christian light, maybe, or I don't know. I don't know how to describe myself. I can just
Well,
all
I
my
mean, why do you call
only
yourself Christian Light? Is it because you wish to identify with your ancestors, or because you want a religion really deep down?
my only real view, like I said, Claire, it is hard for me to like classify myself. Is reality is not what it seems. It's illusionary. It's like a trick, sort of. I don't know how to say anything besides that. Like
Okay, so nothing is real. So, well, who
no, well,
cares?
no. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not. I'm not saying. I'm not saying it's illusionary, so nothing is real or nothing matters or anything of that nature. No. I think things. Obviously, I think things matter, but what are you even saying with that point, Claire? That's sort of a aggressive and weird point towards me.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to work out what your position is,
Okay,
and then I will be able to understand, what your problem is. But you can't really explain.
I,
You seem to be saying nothing is real, and then you say no. I do think,
no, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. Do you acknowledge that's not what I said?
well, I'm trying to work out what you're trying to say.
Oh, what do you say? Nothing is real based on my Gab post about nothing is real.
Well, your emotions are real. You obviously blame certain people and hate them. But other than that, you don't seem to care about anything. It's like, well,
I
you
I
know,
I do care about things. Why do
okay.
you keep making these assertions like
Well,
this,
because
Claire?
because you're not taking religion seriously. You're not really even bothering to understand the nature of morality. And when I try to explain it to you,
I've
you,
given
you
you
don't
my
really grasp it, and you go pairing off in your usual thing and say nothing is real.
I've given you my views on morality, Claire. No, I'm not
Okay,
saying
and
again.
you,
And
you
can I just say, I'm not saying nothing is real. I might post that on Gab as like I think, yeah, I think there's a lot of things in our society that aren't real, that aren't what they seem, and I think
well, like
reality.
fake news.
Well, no, like I think like for instance, like an example, like the economy, I don't think is real. I think like things are things aren't real in the sense that they're rigged, they're dishonest, they're not like truthful or things like this.
I just don't understand how you can deny that there is such a thing as the economy.
No, it's not
I,
that I'm denying that it exists. I'm saying it's not real in the sense that like it's not real like how it's not real like in an honest way, I guess is what I mean. Like for like
you're
reality
saying
is
it's
like
rigged?
yeah, that's just one thing, but there's plenty of things in our society that aren't real in the way that it's like how it should be or truthful or like kind of I don't know how to describe this. Yeah, I mean
Okay,
it's rigged, yeah,
you don't
obviously,
like your
but
government, you don't trust it, you don't trust anything that it runs, including the economy, and you think it's something to do with morality, do you? Or not really? You might think, but you have said morality is not real, and then you contradict yourself by saying it is real because you
well,
feel
it's not
things.
real. Well, when you can't grasp what I say when I say it's not when I say something's not real. Like yes, I don't think morality's real like either to some degree. I mean, but that's because it's like it's not real in the sense that people have this like great this view this like sort of fake view of what it actually is when it isn't what they actually interpret it as. I don't
Can
know
you
how to
give an example?
like I think religion is an example of that. Like or like people
Well,
have these
Hindus are not real, Christians are not real, Jews are not real.
Claire, okay. You purposefully just this
I'm
purposefully?
just trying. Otherwise, you'll just go, it's not
Okay,
real,
wait,
it's not real,
guys,
it's not
wait,
real, but
wait,
it
wait. Can
is,
I
but it's
wait,
not.
Claire? Let me interject because I want to read this next. Start reading the next bit because
C- Claire,
it's
you need to like think about what I mean when I say something
I
isn't
don't know what the
real.
fuck you mean because
I,
you talk shit.
Okay, Claire, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory what something
No,
isn't
it's
real.
not. I keep
Are you
asking
familiar
you,
with?
I keep
Are you
asking
Claire?
you
Claire?
what the
Claire? Claire?
fucking hell
Claire?
you mean, and you just talk your usual shit, and you repeat your usual shit,
You think it's just?
right?
You think it's just shit? I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
Claire.
because you can't even express yourself in your own language.
I'm telling you.
It's
Are you?
nothing
Or
is
do you know what
real.
it?
It is, but it isn't. Okay, I'm going to mute myself and we're just going to move on to the next subject because you don't know what the fuck you mean
Don't. Do not
and you
mute.
just
Do not
talk
mute.
shit
Do
like
not
like
mute.
like like all the other dimwits and dumbos
Do you?
who
Do you?
can't
Do you
express themselves.
okay, it's hard for me to like say this in a way that you'll understand, but
You,
like
you can't. You don't even understand
do
it
you do you do
yourself.
you do you agree that somebody can have like a like do you know what an illusion is? Obviously, you're familiar with that term, illusion. Yes, Claire.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you're good.
morality is an illusion. Your life is an illusion. Morality is an illusion. Fine. This
Well,
is how
it's
you're gonna.
Okay, actually, wait.
What's your highest level of education? That's what I want to know. Did
okay,
you did
Vincent,
you
go
did
ahead.
you graduate from
Go
high
ahead and
school?
read. I'm done with Claire. She's just going to these ad
Did
hominem
you no?
attacks.
Did you
She's
go
just
to
totally
university?
unhinged.
Did you go to university,
She's just a crazed old lady. This
or are
lady
you a
needs to be.
college dropout? You college dropout?
Okay,
Yeah.
listen, wait, okay, wait. No, Claire, I think you should listen to this because this was basically the introduction, and we only have a few pages left in the introduction, and he's getting into morality and the difference between Jews and Gentiles. And he just started, and we started with retaliation versus forgiveness, but he's talking about the Gentiles' moralities right now, and I want you to think about this, Dalmatian dog, because basically saying to people like you and to the Gentiles, morality is all a game and something frivolous. So, do
Where
you
am
like
I? Am I? What do you mean, people like me and the Gentiles? What are you talking about, Vincent?
this book is,
Dimwits,
yeah, dimwits,
retards.
dum dums, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
okay.
sure, Vincent. Yeah, okay.
To you, life is a game and a gallant adventure, and all life's enterprises partake of a spirit of adventurous. To us, life is a serious and somber duty pointed to a definite and inescapable task. Your relations to gods and men spring from the joy and rhythm of the temporary comradeship or enmity of spirit. Our relation to God and men is dictated by a somber subjection to some eternal principle. Your way of life, your moralities and codes are the rules of a game, none the less severe or exacting for that, but not inspired by a sense of fundamental purposefulness. Our way of life, our morality and code do not refer to temporary rules which govern a temporary and trivial pastime. They are inspired by a belief, a true belief, a belief which reaches below assertions into instinctive reaction in the eternal quality of human endeavor. To you, morality is the right thing. To us, morality is right. For all the changing problems of human relationships which arise with changing circumstances, you lay down the rules and regulations of the warrior, the sportsman, the gentleman. We refer all problems seriously to eternal law. For you, certain acts are unbecoming to that pertinent ideal type, whether he be a knight or a decent fellow. We have no such changing systems of reference, only one command. So what did you think of that? Do you
Uh,
have do you have the morality of a sportsman, and is it just kind of like who are you in this situation and what's your role to play in this situation, or do you, like the Jews, refer to like an eternal one law and code that's universal for everyone and every time in every place, and you live by it, and that's it? Or is your morality a little bit more fluid than that?
I mean, maybe just probably more fluid. I don't know. That's sort of a weird question. I wouldn't even believe that that's even necessarily possible. I mean, to have your morality like so it only acts like that. Like, do you agree that do you guys agree that there's human morality? Like, there's morality that like almost transcends religion and other things.
I think
What
there's
do you mean by
humanistic.
morality? What do you
I
mean
guess
by
that, well, why
morality?
don't we say ethics instead of saying morality? Let's say ethics. I think there's such thing as human ethics. I think there's things that we're born with, like we have empathy and like we know we don't want to get hurt, so we don't want other people to get hurt. And like, we get upset when somebody steals from us, so we don't want that to happen. So we don't want it to happen to somebody else.
Well, the sort of do unto others kind of thing.
I feel like
Yes?
I feel like I'm making the same points. Like I made this point yesterday about how none of these holy books say that go around and kill everybody. It's like it's obviously that case for a reason, right? Because that religion wouldn't be around very long and nobody would ascribe to it. So there's more going on than merely just people reading a holy
There are
book and
always
then
exceptions,
no,
right?
I'm saying it's greater than people just reading a holy book and being subservient to whatever the hell it says wholeheartedly.
There's always a law. that- it- You know that Judaism is kind of about rules, don't you? And there are
Sure.
lots of
Aren't
rules.
aren't kind of all religions about rules, Claire?
But
To some degree.
Judaism more so than other
Okay.
religions.
Okay. Why? That's kind of a weird claim. Just because
Well,
the rules
because
are
rules are
more
there to
rules.
regulate our behavior.
But why is Christianity specifically more about rules than other religions? Yeah, but all religions have rules that are there to regulate their behavior. I'm just asking why. I don't understand. I don't know why.
Well, because Christianity took from Judaism its rule-based system, and then Christianity basically dismantled itself and became liberalism, and the laws still existed and the legal systems still existed, but the laws changed, and obviously you don't think they're fair because something you see bad stuff happening and you're told it's a law and you don't agree with it. So I'm saying all laws should be based on a moral system. So, and Islam is the only religion that says, well, if we believe in God and believe that the Quran was revealed by
Well,
God and there are laws in the Quran, we're going to follow that. And it's so simple. And nobody gets it. Oh, it's so primitive. You follow God's laws. How stupid. We make up our laws as we go along. That's so much more civilized. Look at us.
you're saying you just said all laws should be based on a moral system. Sh-
Yes,
Yeah, but I don't think that they should be. I think that they just are. Do you agree
they
with that?
naturally are, but we
Okay.
don't know what our moral system is. Okay, in America, what is your moral system?
I understand this is your critique, Claire. I get it. Okay. America has no moral system, and so the society's in chaos. But even though we're going back to the same argument we had yesterday. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I know, but you don't seem to get it. That because you have no moral
Ugh.
system, you can't tell whether
Okay,
your
Claire,
your
you're
your
starting to drive me a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
okay, but you also drive me crazy because you say the same thing again and again, like morality is not real, and actually, the fact that you're always upset is something to do with morality, isn't it? Or you're going to pretend it's not real? All the
Okay,
anger you keep
okay,
posting on
okay.
Gab.
Wait.
The
Go ahead.
anger.
Wait. Okay. Wait. Okay. Dalmatian Dog. Hold back your response to that because let's just read another paragraph. This will take like 2 seconds. It gives us something to talk about and whatever. And all your moral attributes are only varieties of Queensberry rules: honor, loyalty, purity. These are sets of regulations. The best of you will not swerve from them. You will die in their defense, like the gallant gentleman you are, but you will not brook the question whether your system of honor is founded on right, whether loyalty has relation to intelligence, whether purity has relation to the state of mind. Honor means but one thing: do the honorable thing, whether it be honor in dueling, honor among thieves, honor of women. Loyalty means the quality of being loyal, independent of right or wrong. Purity means the chastity of the body or the denial of desire, as much it is related to the game, not to God. So are you okay? Do you relate your morality to the game, Dalmatian Dog, and not to God?
I didn't even understand what you just read. You read
Yeah,
it
I
so
don't understand
badly.
anything. Isn't God in the game, Vincent? Isn't God in the game? But I gotta go, guys.
Oh, did he get mad at you?
I think he just couldn't formulate his next sentence, and he gave up. No, I'm trying to understand what his problem is, and
I
he's
think
just so bad at explaining.
maybe he got offended
I wasn't
by
really much,
more.
but no, I mean, I didn't get what you said. It did, I was trying to understand what you were reading, but you were reading it so badly that it just went over my head. Maybe you want to try again.
And all your moral attributes are only varieties of Queensberry rules: honor, loyalty, purity. These are sets of regulations. The best of you will not swerve from them. You will die in their defense, like the gallant gentleman you are, but you will not brook the question whether your system of honor is founded on right, whether loyalty has relation to intelligence, whether purity has relation to the state of mind. Honor means but one thing: to do the honorable thing, whether it be honor in dueling, honor among thieves, honor of women. Loyalty means the quality of being loyal, independent of right or wrong. Purity means the chastity of the body or the denial of desire, as much it is related to the game, not to God.
I don't understand the last sentence. But okay, what
Purity
I'm
means
trying.
the chastity. Okay,
Oh, you're reading on. Okay,
no. Never mind. Obviously, I don't know. I just read it twice. If it's too much.
okay, and
Um,
you're continuing. That there's more, or that's the
no,
or you
that
read
was the end of what
next
I just
chapter.
read. No, okay, well, I'll just read the next paragraph. For us, these distinctions do not exist, for we are serious in our intentions. We will not accept your rules because we do not understand them. Right and wrong is the only distinction we are fitted by our nature to appreciate. We are puzzled by your punctilios, your quaint distinct,
Punctiliousness,
your punctilious, your punctilious, your what does punctilious mean?
fussiness, I think it means.
Your punctiliousness, your quaint distinctions, your gentleman's comme il faut,
Don't know.
comme il faut. We are amazed when you fight for them. We are struck dumb when you die for them. A song on your lips. Not that we do not know how to die for a cause, but we must die for a serious cause, for a reason, for right, for God, not for a slogan without meaning, for a symbol for its own sake, for a rule of its own sake. We will die for the right, not for the right thing.
Okay, this is very confusing. So he is talking as he is speaking as a Jew addressing Gentiles, saying, "You
Yes,
die for silly things, and we're not going to participate in your wars." Is
yes.
that okay? And um, yes, but I mean there are Jews who join, Gentile armies and things. Aren't there? Aren't there?
Well, yes, there are, Claire, but I mean, well, also, this is an Orthodox Jew's opinion. So
But they
maybe
won't even join their own army in Israel. They won't join the Israel Defense Force. The
Claire, this is
religious
all
Jews
going to
won't.
work. It's going to work itself out, Claire. I have more faith in the Jews bringing everything together than anyone else, even if they have problems. All they need is Noahides. Once they have Noahides, they don't need to defend Israel. They won't need
Yeah,
an
well,
army.
once they submit to Sharia, then God will be pleased with them, and so will their Muslim neighbors.
Well, they're not doing that.
Well, they kind of are talking about it. They do say the T word. I was surprised. I shared with you that Macron's, guy, Jeremy England, talking about theocracy. He said it twice in a 10-minute stream.
But they're not talking about Quranic theocracy. They want
He
a
was saying,
Torah.
"Oh, are we going to be like Iran? Are we talking about?" He said all the words.
No, no, but he didn't. He meant a Torah theocracy like Iran, not a Muslim theocracy in Israel. That's not what he meant.
I know, but it'll be the Torah theocracy will be more restrictive than the Sharia, than secular Quranism, basically. But anyway,
Okay.
I know he's just thinking aloud.
This difference in behavior and reaction springs from something much more earnest and significant than a difference in beliefs. It springs from a difference in our biologic equipment. It does not argue the inferiority of one or the other. It is a difference in taking of life which cannot be argued. You have your way of life, we ours. In your system of life, we are essentially without honor. In our system of life, you are essentially without morality. In your system of life, we must forever appear graceless. To us, you must forever appear godless. Seen from beyond both of us, there is neither right nor wrong. There is your Western civilization. If your sense of the impermanence of things, if your sense of the impermanence of things, the essential sportiness of all effort, the gamesomeness and games of life has blossomed in events and laws like these I have seen around me. It cannot, from an external point of view, neither yours nor ours, be classified as right or wrong. Wars for Helen and for Jenkins' ear, duels for honor and for gambling debts, death for a flag, loyalties, gallant gestures, a world that centers around sport and war with a system of virtues related to these, art that springs not from God, but from the joyous and suffering of the free man, a world of play which takes death itself as part of the play, to be approached as carelessly and pleasantly as any other turn of chance, cities and states and mighty enterprises built up on the same rush of feeling and energy as carries a football team, and in the same ideology. This is the effervescence of the Western world. It has a magnificent, ever effervescent beauty. It is a valiant defiance of the gloom of the universe, a warrior's shout into the ghastly void, a futile thing to us, beautiful and boyish. For all is inconsistencies and failures within itself. It has a charm and rhythm which are unknown to us. We could never have built a world like yours. Okay, we're almost done, but I want to take a break. Um, do you think Dalmatian Dog was starting to feel like this man was getting somewhere and that Dalmatian Dog's morality is just shallow and gentile and sportish and boyish?
Well, the thing is, he can't really express himself, and I try to help him by saying, "Do you mean this? Do you mean that?" And he says, "No, it's just not real, but it is, but it's not," you know. And that was what was so annoying, really. So I've explained, like, morality is a system of rules, and morality is always attached to a religion, right? I mean, yes, we can sort of inwardly feel, bad that we haven't kept a promise, or we told lies about someone, even though nobody knew that we told lies about someone, or, stole something, you know, but that's a matter of private conscience. And I guess we feel bad because we sort of know that we shouldn't tell lies and we shouldn't steal people's things. Yes? I
Hmm.
mean, so it's real. The morality is real, or most people have a conscience. So in our minds, we have already said, well, it's right to um, you know, protect the weak, or whatever it is that we think is right or wrong to do, and we sort of notice when some action or speech on our part does not coincide with the principles that we claim to have. And then we feel bad. In our conscience, we feel bad, right? And,
Hmm.
and, and I guess this is what is meant by, a sense of morality. Because I guess Dalmatian Dog, having no religion, is not saying, I'm feeling bad because, I think God has cursed me because I broke, I ate some pork or whatever. He's obviously not thinking of that. He's probably just thinking of a few things that it is wrong, that he definitely knows is wrong to do, such as to kill and steal and lie and cheat, and he's saying he's capable of feeling bad about it, which is why he didn't agree with me when I said maybe you're an atheist or a nihilist. But okay, what I'm trying to say is that if you push people into all these religious groups, you're able to measure them for their reasoning ability and their honesty, because just say you're back in Jehovah's Witness. You said yesterday that you decided to go back to being a Jehovah's Witness, and then then all the morality of Jehovah's Witnesses would be imposed on you. So you'd have to stop celebrating your birthday, and if you were planning a birthday party and it was today, you'd have to cancel it. Or it's just to do things that are in harmony with the collection of moral principles that you have decided to ally yourself to. And it's like, okay, you can still celebrate your birthday today, but people will think, ooh, but he's not a really good Jehovah's Witness, is he? He just said yesterday that he was going to go back to being a Jehovah's Witness, but today he's celebrating his birthday. So obviously he didn't mean it. So he's probably a liar. And if he's a liar, he might be a thief. And God knows
Well,
what else. That is
well,
how people are supposed to reason.
we do have to chase the hypocrites out of religion because we have to show just that these religions actually do have principles and they actually do stand for something, and that would actually make them go Noah hide faster, because yeah, force every religion, Islam, all the Christian religions and Hinduism and everybody to be like, well, no, actually we do believe in things, and you can't just all be you know lesbians getting abortions, like it's like, just, it isn't that. Hold on, let me finish. The effervescence of our life given free room is profoundly different. We have none of this joyous gamesomeness. We fight and suffer and die even as we labor and create, not in sport and not under the rules of sport, but in the feeling and believing that we are part of an eternal process. We cannot have art such as you have, a free and careless lyrical beauty, songs and epics. Our sense of beauty springs from immersion in the universe, from a gloomy desire to see justice done in the name of God. Morality itself, we take simply and seriously. We have none of your arbitrary regulations, your fine flourishes, and disciplined gallantries. We only know right or wrong. All the rest seems to us childish irrelevance. When God speaks in us, when his overwhelming will drives us to utterance, we are great, otherwise we are futile. Without you, there cannot be a question of futility. We belong to the one mastering God. You belong to the republic of playful gods. These are two ways of life, each utterly alien to the other. Each has its place in the world, but they cannot flourish in the same soil. They cannot remain in contact without antagonism, though to life itself each way is a perfect utterance, to each other they are enemies. Okay, so that was chapter 1.
So
Um,
okay, what would you say the last bit of what the last reading was about?
well, I mean, he's making this assertion that the Gentiles, their morality is a game and trivial and all this other kind of stuff. And I guess
But
the
he doesn't give
closest is,
examples.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't give
Hmm.
examples so far. I mean, to be honest, it sounds like this is going to be an exercise in the rantings of an arrogant fucking Jew.
Yeah.
Um,
Who doesn't give examples?
yes, yes, this does sound like it's going to be something like that. I don't know why Dalmatian Dog left.
Well, I think he just got tired, and he could, But I mean, I don't mind if he, you know, I mean, I did try to help him and said, "Do you mean that when you say it's not real, do you mean it's fake news, or do you think, when you talk about the economy not being real, do you mean it's rigged?" And he said no, or maybe he meant yes. I don't know. And then he wittered on about morality, and obviously he has strong feelings about it because I can read him on Gab. And he's always swearing about the CIA and the government and, all that. So he's obviously worked out about it. I'm sure he'll come back.
I don't know. He seems. I don't know. When he was pissed at us, and it was right after I read that. I think it struck something in him. I think he was kind of like. I think maybe he felt a little bit like chastised and like shamed. I think like the Jew was saying like shame on you, and he got shamed, and so he ran.
Well, okay, well, maybe I was being a bit mean on him, but he does repeat himself, and I'm going through his timeline, and he's basically saying the same thing again and again, and I've known him for a while, and he must do more reading in order to understand his own feelings, right? You know,
Well, he admits that he doesn't understand how. First, he said he doesn't understand how, as in it's beyond his comprehension how we wake up and do intellectual stuff every day like this. And
because we're trying to solve the problem and work
well,
out how things
yeah,
work.
yes. I mean, and not only does he not know how, he's not necessarily very happy about it or impressed. And actually, like, it's his agenda to try to bully us into stopping. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not that he just doesn't care. He's like a hate watcher. So, um, what was I trying to
Well, I
say?
think basically his problem is that he thinks the ruling classes are evil or mad or stupid, which is how I feel too. So I assume that if that's what you think, then you have to work out why they're like that. And then he said, "Oh, he's heard it all from before because I'm saying America doesn't have an official religion, and that's why Americans have no control over what Congress do, all the crazy laws they pass, and all the crazy decisions that the Supreme Court of America makes, which they obviously think is unfair." And I guess what's going round is this sort of transgenderism stuff. And yeah, I would be worried too. It's like, why is our government kind of telling us not to have children and not to get married? Why do they hate us? They obviously don't want to get us to get married or have children or stay together for the sake of the children. So what are they up to? I mean, I would have thought that's a pretty, urgent question if we want to survive. Particularly as the American government is bent on picking a fight with, the rest of the world to start World War III. So anybody interested in their survival should,
Tama?
as a matter of urgency, try
Nice
and
and
work out
KCO?
what the problem is.
Uh-huh. Um, am I having some or no? Okay. Hold on one second. I just need to take some pills.
So it's a bit annoying when I said, okay, I'm saying this is a problem. America doesn't have a religion, and that's why Americans can't say whenever Congress passes a law, it's like, well, that's goes against our moral system because our moral system, says things like, oh, we shouldn't. Okay, I mean, just supposing Congress passed a law saying murder and theft are allowed, and so is rape, then something might just sort of trigger in Americans that all is not right with Congress passing a law. But I mean, it would have to go that far for Americans to go, hey, something's not right. We have to do something. But currently Americans are okay about, oh, we can be gay, we can we don't have to have children, or we don't have to marry before we have children, and we can be any sex we want to be. But obviously, it's disturbing, Dalmatian dog.
Well,
But
yeah,
I think his resistance is basically he knows the religion I'm going to suggest, and he doesn't like it, and he doesn't want to hear it again. But I think and he kind of likes Christianity because he thinks of America as a Christian nation, and he wants to go back to the days when America was great, when it was Christian, and all your TV shows were about nuclear families or large families, being happy together, and resolving their differences in a happy ever after way.
hmm
But we can't turn back time. I mean, even if we agreed, like, oh, let's go back to, I don't know, the Waltons, Bewitched, or I can't remember all the, but it's that sort of thing, when America was white, and people looked up to white people. And there was a time when yeah, it did seem that Western culture was superior. And then it went downhill. And, you might wish to trace, some change in the law or some change in the culture about, why it became okay to show so much sex on on TV, or, in movies.
I do hope this book gets better. Right now, so far, what I've read, it is a bunch of just like hot air, but the only use I see for it right now is to get Gentiles angry because he is being very dismissive, and I think it shows what an arrogant Jew really thinks. Oh my God. Why did he even write this book? Why would you write a book like this to Gentiles? And he's addressing the Gentiles.
Directly as well, like, you Gentiles, you're full of shit, and I'm going to tell
Yes, he's like, obviously, if the rest of this is nothing but hot air, then I mean, it won't be that interesting of a book, but it should rile up some hatred. That's why I think I'm only going to be able to read one subheading from that a day, which would probably take about 45 minutes to read or an hour to read with, you know,
you.
without breaks or something like that. I don't know how many pages it is, but the pages aren't that very big, and the lettering is big, and the pages are small, so it's actually going to be a fast book. It's like 210 pages, but I mean, it's not really 210 pages. It's much less than that.
Oh, it'd be so
Uh,
much fun if I had loads of money. I'd offer a prize, for a rabbi to write, what they really thought of us.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. I don't know what they think at this moment, but I have been thinking about that. Like, yeah, well, I took Rabbi Harry Watton's advice before I even knew it, and what are the rabbis going to do now that I'm working for them, right? I mean, what are they going to say now that I'm pushing Noahidism and secular Noahidism? I mean, they're going to have to stop trying to destroy me, right? All the Jews are going to have to stop trying to destroy me, and they'll just have to accept me.
And you want to be accepted by them.
Well, I don't want them to try to destroy me. Maybe they won't like me. Maybe they'll view me as a pest, but they won't. Since I'm working for them, what are they going to do?
Do you think they're trying to destroy you?
I think if I got big, they would. Well, I'll put it to you this way. they're not happy with what I do, and they let people know they're not happy, and they try to counter me and make me look bad. I know that.
What do they say to make you look bad?
Oh, just that, what I post is sensationalist or inaccurate, or they always give like the most lenient interpretation of it, or give a wishy-washy new age interpretation like, oh no idolatry just means no child sacrifice. No, that's not what it means. It means no idolatry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they actually have a crime called bowing before idols. You know, they're so dishonest.
Hmm. I saw in your timeline you were talking to what obviously looks like an airy fairy secular liberal Jew, and you asked him. You said that oh, it was you had posted our stream, gays must change, and he comments and he says Jews must change, and then um you said Jews must do what they were put on earth to do by God, and and then he said something like, "What is that?" And then you said, "Have you heard of the Noahide laws?" And he said, "Yes, of course, but these laws mean different things to the people who know the true law," like implying that like it's not about beheading idolaters, blasphemers, and homosexuals. It's actually about like creating peace and love and harmony between all of God's children. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like
Mm.
total rubbish.
Yeah. I think I know who you mean. I think it was somebody called Michael Shaler.
Maybe he's a
He's a
gentleman.
Christian.
He
Well, he's very confused. He's very confused.
I get disgusted with Jews that are like that try to tell me that it all means something else and it's all an allegory for love. You know, like are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? I've had them tell I've had Jews been like, "Oh no, it just beheading means you're just spiritually cut off from Israel."
Yes. Did you hear the rabbi on what's that No Hide channel, No Hide World Center or whatever?
Yeah, no, Hyde World Center. What did he say?
Well, I mean, I asked him that question about Passover, and the, according to the Torah, it just says if you have any Gentiles staying with you during Passover, you'll have to circumcise them. So I mentioned that because they're talking about Passover, and he said, "Oh, it doesn't really mean that." And then he told a story about he had this bishop staying over and his wife, and but it went better than he expected. So I had to say that you're supposed to, insist on circumcision. And he said, "Oh, no, 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 we don't need to do that because we didn't give him any lamb," or something stupid like that. Something about the paschal lamb, and it only applies, um, this rule only applies if they, partake of the lamb.
Yeah, I know they have all these different kinds of rules and stuff like that. That I know what they do, but
But it's so
yeah.
draconian that you can understand why they might sort of, want to ignore it. And it's like, well, we can't do it anyway because, they'd call the police and we'd be in trouble.
Well, they're gonna have to get over that, and the Jews are going to realize as soon as they start getting draconian, they're gonna get all the power because
But
they
so
would be
here's my, sorry.
they will be hated less if they become draconian than if they become liberal. The more look, let me tell you, the more that they just come out with the no hide laws and are like, yeah, we do believe in beheading idolaters, blasphemers, and homosexuals. What about it? The like the the faster people will respect them. And people will have more respect for that than wishy-washy, lovey-dovey, you know what I mean, liberal reform Judaism.
Yeah, but I guess they don't feel like being kicked out or, cancelled by the liberal media. So they're in a bit of a bind. And, I guess if you were in their shoes, you might be, a little careful about saying things that might have you identified as an extremist. And I'm basically saying that they have an escape route, and it is the Quran. And and if they choose to believe that it came from the God of Israel, as a mercy to Jews, because he understands they're in a terrible position of having to, you know take all these extreme positions, or positions that would be understood and apprehended as very extreme. There is the Quran, which is more reasonable. And there it is, and it's only their pride that prevents them from picking it up and saying, well, maybe it would work better for us and we'll just convert, because we can't be doing with this anymore. It's too much of a burden, it's too difficult, and we feel such hypocrites, and we become so neurotic trying to hold these two conflicting opposite facts in our heads at the same time, and it's driving us crazy. I mean, this kind of explains how Duvid is so anxious to promote his multiple truth hypothesis, which is basically being able to say yes and no at the same time, which Jews are already known for doing anyway, aren't they? So I quite like my narrative that the Quran was just, well, I knew it'd be too hard for you guys, but so here's the Quran. What do you think you're gonna, so what would you do if you were believing logical Jews who think the burden of being a Jew in the 21st century is just too much?
Um,
Particularly the Israelis.
yeah, well, give us some time on that, Claire. You know, if you were on the Jewish side of things, you would realize we have time.
No, we don't have
But
time because
I
basically
know
America
because you're on the
is
Gentile
spoiling
side.
for a fight with China and shooting down Chinese balloons and kicking out TikTok and spoiling the fun of so many people. And it's not just about, your prophecy versus my prophecy. It's about, well, the future of the Western world, and
Yeah,
and
I know.
and whether we can have a world war or not.
Okay, we're going. Okay, well, the Jewish way is to go about it a little bit more slowly and change the scene over time, over a generation. And you're
There can still be
going.
Jews in Israel. I'm not saying that you have to stop being Jews. You just have to live under different rules, not liberal democracy.
I know, well, but I know, but the thing is that that's going to happen, but it's going to happen on the Jewish timetable. It's not happening on any Gentile timetable.
All right, all right. Have you got more to read?
No, I don't want to read any more today. I think I'm only going to be able to read one of those things a day. I have no, if it's all a bunch of just hot air about how, like, you know, we're so sophisticated and you're nothing but beasts, like, but without any, like, real, like, if it's just a bunch of accusations, I mean, if it's a bunch of accusations, it'll be a little bit boring, but a little bit funny at the same time, and
Hmm.
it'll get people angry. But if it's just a bunch of accusations, I can't read it for hours on end. I could read Alan Cecil for hours on end, and at first, I was really into Rabbi Harry Watton, and I could read him on hours for end. But then he started getting into mystical, and I didn't want to keep going. But
Hmm.
this so far I cannot read for hours on end.
Hmm. Yeah, it's too abstract.
Yeah. So actually for our next book, I was gonna ask you, what do you want to read? Do you want to read
I want you to read the Athanasian Creed, and it's not long, and you can do it in one session.
Okay, we'll read the oh wait, the next thing we're gonna do is listen to the Quran.
But let's do the Athanasian Creed first before we
Okay.
go
Okay,
the
and
long
then we'll go
haul.
to the
Because
we'll
I
go
think
to
that's such an eye opener, really.
we'll
Oh,
go
yeah,
to
and I think we should read George Washington's farewell speech.
okay, we
I
can
think
do
that
that
would be
too.
fun. I mean, I think people could get into it, you know, but I
Okay.
don't think people would get into the Quran.
Okay, well we have to do the Quran, so you can't tell me I didn't listen to the Quran or I don't know the whole Quran. Because I'm not gonna be told that I don't know the whole goddamn fucking Quran.
It's quicker to read it yourself, and then you know, because if somebody's reading it to you, it's like, well, I didn't really get that, and you can't go back to it because the person will have just carried on, and unless you know, press the pause button. So
Oh,
if you really
Claire,
want to,
I cannot read that goddamn Quran, but I will listen to it.
all right.
So we'll play the whole Quran and but after that I'm debating let me look at it. I want to start getting into Jewish views on Hinduism and there's books I want to read. There's about two or three books on Judaism and Hinduism that I want to read that do mention the Noahide laws. Um um we'll see. We'll see. That, or I might want to read The Watchtower and the Masons, which is about Jehovah's Witnesses and Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Maybe. We'll see. Um, but let's get through this horrible You Gentiles. If I don't know how many sections there might be 10 sections. So it might take us 10 days to finish this book. Uh, we'll see. Maybe we'll abandon it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like abandoning books. It didn't make me happy to abandon Rabbi Harry Watton, but it just got it was, and that last half was all about. And then I saw he was getting into that the Jews are going to accept Christianity and Jesus is a true Jew, and I was started getting into such rubbish that I really couldn't deal with it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he said that, did he?
Oh yeah, he was talking about Judaism and the Christians and how they're all going to get along and all this other kind of stuff.
And he was basically encouraging them to become Christian. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh, how disappointing. He turned out to be a messianic Jew.
yeah, he was disappointing. He's a big problem, and
Mm.
but whatever the things that he did say were useful and relevant. I'm glad that I read what I read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go take a nap. We've been on here
Mm-hmm.
for about 2.5 hours, and
Okay.
yeah. All
I'm going to
right,
go to the kitchen.
thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.